Suspicious to the 78th episode of the Bailey Banter. Hi, Hi, Josie.
Hey there. How you doing today?
I'm great until I got to go to work later.
Sounds like the bane of all of our existence.
We got a few things that are going on in the group. But before we get into that, let's do our top 5 contributors.
Yeah.
Contributors.
Yes. Our number 5 contributor is Leanne Fry.
Yay, Leanne. Yeah, she's been, all these people that are on here this week again have been on here for quite a while. So we really appreciate you guys being consistent in the group and everything. And yeah, Leanne, your looks are beautiful. I love the last one that you did. You know, and she's from the UK.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We have some people over there too. So
yeah. And our 4th place one is Anna Einhoff. And, you know, she always does really great, funny posts and stuff like that. So,
yeah, she's got me to spit out a few drinks. Anna, you owe me drinks. Just kidding. I'm joking. Our number 3 contributor, and I have been seeing her pop up a lot lately. She's really going for it. Is Kim Allman?
Yes. Kim is amazing. She loves to contribute to the group a lot. She does a lot of posting, and she's always in our bingos and whatever we got going, Kim is there. And our 2nd place person is none other than Sherry Bynum. Yay, Sherry.
Good job.
Yes.
And so our number 1 contributor is Crystal Rose Guerrero Martinez. Good job. And this is just because I love the group and I love seeing everybody interact. Someone make her not be number 1 again. Come on.
Right?
I say this, but she jokingly, but all the love.
Yeah. She does some really great videos. She does stories. She's been doing a lot of posting a lot of makeup videos and stuff. Did you see the one with the Japanese girl?
I believe I did.
Yes. Oh my God, those looks were beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite one that she's posted so far has been the verses. So like she did, it was Mexico versus, I want to say, Colombia. And the looks were absolutely stunning. And then she did another one similar to that. And those were absolutely amazing. So those are really
I have to check those out. I haven't seen those ones. My next Suspish story is actually one that she had posted a while ago. And it's about a murdering nun.
Ooh.
So yeah. So I got that idea from Crystal's post.
Oh, wait, that confession even
be sure you watch the Suspish because
it'll
tell you what happened. I mean, it was, the ending was interesting. The whole story was interesting. Now, mind you, this happened back in like the 1600s, I believe, though. But still.
1600s,
No.
like I think I'm really caught up on the whole, when you practice a religion, you typically believe in it. So therefore you're doing the things that they're asking you to do, like, participating in confession. Wait. How do you handle that one? Anyway, yeah, you're going to have to cover that.
You got to watch the Sound Suspish.
You're going to have to cover that part. You said that that's going to be on the 1st of September. Is that right?
Yes. September 1st will be our next Sound Suspish story.
And we're doing it at what time again?
Probably 4 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Awesome. Okay. That's good to know.
Yep. And then, speaking of Kim Allman again.
Yeah.
She was this past Sunday's bingo winner. Again.
Total domination.
Both games, huh?
Total domination.
Oh, tell me about it. She won both games. And last month, she won both games.
Yeah, and then she's coming up number 3 this month. Hey, you know what, Crystal Rose? She's coming for you. Watch it. She's going to be number 1 soon.
Exactly. I'm telling you. Our next bingo game will be September 22nd at 4 p.m. Central as well.
Perfect. My favorite part, this is more exciting than my birthday, guys, and my birthday is exciting. All right? No, this is more exciting. Spooky season starting.
Yes, it is. It is. And
I'm so excited.
That's a big time.
Yes,
in our
it
group.
is. And for me, spooky season has officially started because we are halfway through August. I think it's a pretty popular season at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's actually given Christmas a run for its money.
Yeah.
But we do a better version of spooky season. And you guys have to pay attention because starting mid-September, you guys need to have your eyes open. We're doing stuff.
Yes, we are. Lots of stuff are in the making as we speak of how things are going. So mid-September, like Josie said, we will be doing posts and things to let you guys know exactly what's going on, what the rules will be. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Into our
the Deadpool Killer.
And you know what? We were talking about this in the bingo, and Stephanie, speaking of her, is a big Marvel Deadpool fan. And she's like, I just don't get the whole connection. Well, the connection
only connection was the name.
Exactly.
He was not an anti-hero in any way, shape, or form. I am highly offended because I love Deadpool.
Well, according to Bailey, it was because of the name. Mm-hmm. And also, I guess some of the behaviors and the characteristic that Deadpool portrays, this guy supposedly portrayed in real life.
Okay, so coming from a fan, the things that I have seen that are Deadpoolish are literally the maximum effort because of, we'll get into it, what he does to the girl, the first girl in the car.
Right.
Maximum effort. Like, really? Come on, dude. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
So that's one way. The other way is his name. And then thirdly, and leastly, because it's very, very loose, is chaos.
Right.
Which really all of these people have in common is chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On May 20th of 1994, supposedly is when he was born.
Yeah.
His dad. They just mentioned the dad more so than the mom. But the dad was only 14 years old when the mom got pregnant. So I'm assuming she's pretty young as well.
Yes. And they were saying that they thought that there were drugs and alcohol involved in the whole thing.
Well, with the mom. They said mom had mental health issues and addiction. So apparently, mom apparently went to church, and there was a family there who ended up adopting Wade Stephen, and his name became Wilson. And that was Candy and Steve who had adopted him. They said that when he was younger, he was great in sports. They went to church. He was good in school
He was
until
very charming and charismatic.
Yes. And that was the thing that Bailey said too, and she was just so mad at people. They think he's hot, and she's like, "Get better standards."
Yes, we are worth so much more, people. Like, come on. Do we really need to be? We're not that desperate, are we? We're not that desperate that we're resorting
need
to
be involved with a killer. Yeah. So, but anyway, at 13, he started to show mental instability. He was moody. He was paranoid. He became reclusive, and he started acting out while he was in school. So, being the good parents that they were, they tried to get him help, but he refused to go. So
they got him in on the 72-hour evaluation, but they were not able to get him to stay.
Well, no, that was okay. So he refused to go to the thing, and then at 16, they evoked what I guess Florida has is the Baker Act, which is when it's a Florida law, and it was established in 1971, and it allows for emergency mental health services and temporary detention for individuals who are unable to determine their need for treatment due to mental illness. And with that, they are only allowed to hold him for 72 hours. They say that they believe that his mental illness was brought on by concussions that he received during playing sports and for drugs. But we can't pass up the fact that his mother had mental illness as well, and that's usually hereditary,
depending on what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes through all that, and then at the age of 18 in 2012, he connects with his biological father, and whose name is Stephen Testa-Stecca.
I'm not even attempting that last name.
So then in 2018, this is where everything starts, pretty much. He meets a girl and starts dating her named Kelly. So,
and this is our first young lady who needs to get better standards, because she even said at one point, he's hot. I'm not going to get anybody else like him.
Exactly.
Ladies, I don't care if he is the hottest man on earth. I don't care if he is drop dead gorgeous, made by the gods, and is absolutely pristine, perfect Adonis. If he unalives people, come on, guys. That's the biggest red flag you get. You can't get a bigger red flag.
Exactly. Well, see, and that's the thing. She said she's seen no red flags until he got arrested for grand theft and grand larceny. And that was in 2019.
So a year later, this should have been done.
Yeah. But see, that don't make, So then, their relationship was, back and forth, whatever. They broke up, got back together, broke up, got back together. Well, then she suspected, about the drugs and whatnot, found a pipe, wasn't sure what it was. So she went to Reddit, asked people what it was, found out. And that caused a whole big blow up.
Well, as you know, if you are utilizing and trying to hide something, oftentimes you are defensive. Oftentimes,
Oh, yeah.
it's not something that you want to be. You don't want your things looked through. You don't want, people snooping to find out your secret. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So at this point, he kidnaps her, kidnaps his girlfriend.
Yes. He went through my things. This is a kidnappable offense.
Right? Beat her up, sexually
Maximum
assaulted her.
effort. This is where we say maximum effort because
Right.
he did the sexual assault. And then keep going, please.
And then he beat her up, tied her up with her own clothes, threw her in the trunk of her car, broke her foot when he shut the trunk on her, scratched her up, bit her in the face, and then drove 3 hours to the Florida Keys with her in the trunk.
Don't forget, he drove to the Florida Keys, but he could make a pit stop. He was hungry.
To McDonald's. Yeah, because he was hungry. Stole her phone, sold it for crack.
Of course, as one does.
Yeah. And, so he gets to Florida. They're in Florida. Gets to the Keys, and then he meets up with some girl up there. So he lets her out of the car, lets her go, and she gets in her car and drives back. Now, when she gets back, she goes straight to the hospital. They do pictures of all her scratches and bruising, broken foot. They do an assault kit on her. And what the hell is with them Florida police? Because
it's like they were trying
everything.
To drop the ball. They wanted to drop the ball on that.
They dropped it big time. Even though she had the pictures herself as well, they could do nothing because there was no evidence to prove anything. And then when they did catch up with him about that, he said, "Oh, yeah, I did tie her up and throw her in there, but she's into that kind of thing." And they let it go.
Okay, but why wouldn't you talk to the witness about that and be like, "Hey, so he says you're into this kind of thing. Like, is this not the case?" And instantly, any victim is going, or survivor, depending on how you want to call it, but either one is going to be like, no.
Right. So needless to say, she ended it for good that time.
Thank goodness, finally.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. So then here comes October of 2019. And now he's dating this new girl named Melissa Montanez.
Just a quick side note. Why don't we have like resumes for boyfriends?
I know, right?
Like, can I contact your former employer, please? Like, I need to talk to your ex, please, and thank you. Like
right
now. Ugh.
So on the 6th, they go to this club and they meet this guy named Jason. Well, Jason wants, them to come back over to his place, whatever. And Melissa's like, no, I don't know this guy. I'm not going there.
Stranger danger, like an intelligent human being.
Exactly. So Wade was not happy with this at all. She says, I'm going. And he steals her car. Well, her car's a manual as well. So
the whole way he's a grinding and a grinding.
Yep. So then while he's there or whatever, he meets up with Christine and Stephanie. Now, from what the story was, him and Christine have hooked up before. So he knew Christine, but he didn't know Stephanie. So when he introduced himself, he said his name was Junior, whatever. So they go, they party, whatever. He goes to take them back to Cape Coral, I think it was, grinding away in that stick shift. And Stephanie says, she's got to go home. She's got to get ready for work. She's got to get her kid, whatever. So they drop her off. He goes to Christine's house and he kills her. He strangled her to death and wrapped her body in the sheets and towels and stuff like that. We didn't know that till later. But that's what he ended up doing with her. Then, since he don't like that freaking manual car, he steals Christine's black Nissan. He does that. Then he calls Melissa. And they get into an argument, whatever. She's at work, whatever. Drives the black Nissan to Melissa's job.
Mm-hmm.
Tries to force Melissa into the car.
Mm-hmm.
He's fighting him. He drags her upstairs to where she works, which this part I didn't understand so much, but he drags her upstairs where he starts beating her. If she's at work, where are her co-workers?
Well, she could be I know instances like adult caregiving, you're not going to have too many people on site, especially if there's
they didn't say what she did.
Something. Yeah, right. She could have been an adult foster home caregiver. She could have been a maid. She could have been, she could have been a nanny that was on nap time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways that she could have even been an at-home worker. So while she's at home, she's still at work.
Right. So anyway, but still,
he gets it doesn't make sense that somebody is dragging somebody somewhere and nobody sees anything.
Right, exactly. He gets her upstairs and he's beating her. And I guess he beat her pretty badly. And I guess, according to Bailey, he had a clarity at one point. He just stopped and was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Or whatever. And this was her chance at that point
to get out.
And she did. So he freaks, gets back into the Nissan and takes off. Down the road, and he sees Diane Ruiz, who's walking her way to work. And he pulls up to her and acts like he's asking for directions. He manages to coax her into the car.
Which, again, ladies, what are we doing? We live in a day and age when, because this is recent. I don't think we talked about that part.
No,
this is recent.
Very recent. Yeah.
So I thought
the trial
in a day and age that we don't get in cars with strangers.
Exactly. When she got into the car, he ended up strangling her. And then he drives her to an empty lot somewhere and tosses her body out of the car. Realizes that she was still alive. He takes the car and runs over this poor woman's body multiple times.
Yeah, until she looked like what?
According to him, spaghetti.
That's a horrible human right there.
That is just picked up some random woman who was going to work and for no reason whatsoever.
Other than he was on crack.
Actually, there was another part to this part of the story that Bailey didn't say, but I found it on a site. Apparently, after he dumped her body, he went to a gas station. So it said after he murdered her, he went into a restaurant. It was a restaurant. And he was covered in blood. And he described the owner as an acquaintance and said that he had killed 2 women. So the owner went to call 911 and he fled. And then this is when he ended up breaking into a home, and luckily the owners were out of town.
Gone. And who didn't he make a phone call while he was there, or did he not?
Well, yes. After he ate their food and drank their liquor and changed his clothes, he called his father, his biological father. And he was telling him that he needed help, that he did something terrible. And his father wasn't really believing it or whatever. But somewhere down the line, the father ended up believing the story. And he told him that 2 people are gone and they are never coming back. And before he hung up with his dad, I guess he said something to the effect that he's a killer. So, but during this same conversation with his father, he wanted his dad to get him an Uber out of town. So his father said, okay, give me the location of where you're at and I'll send a car. So he gives them the location. And lo and behold, instead of dad calling the Uber, he called the U.S. Marshals. And
like a good parent does.
And hello. Exactly. I mean, and like she said, that had to be hard because it's your child, But I think, one, it was the right thing to do.
110%, because he wouldn't have stopped. He was not right to stop.
And that's why his father said that he called, because he knew that he would do it again if he didn't. So, anyway, so they do that. He gets arrested, whatever. Contact, because he had the black Nissan, whatever. They get in contact with Christine's friend Stephanie. She does a wellness check on her, and that's when the police go into her place and they find her body. This was so weird too, because they really didn't have an idea of how he was connected to Diane until the dad told him, because when they found Diane Ruiz's body, her body was only discovered because the police kept seeing a vulture flying around.
Good work, good birdie.
So when they found her body and stuff and spoke with dad, they connected the two. On October 10th, they found Diane's body. On November 19th, he was charged with 2 counts of premeditated murder. His trial actually just ended in July.
Yeah, they're talking about doing sentencing on the 27th of August, from what she said. Don't hold us to it,
Yes.
because that
Yes.
kind of stuff gets changed. DAs get changed, stuff
Well,
changes and things move.
There's a few things now. One, this is what I just found out today. The jury is requesting the death penalty. They found him guilty after 2 hours of deliberating. I think it was 8 of the 12 that want the death penalty. Okay. So I guess Florida has a law that you only need like 8 people to say, that you want the death penalty. But apparently that law was changed after his trial. So that just changed. So we don't know how the sentencing thing is going to go as of yet. We'll find out next week. In this story that I just found, he is to have a brain scan. His attorney wants to do a brain scan. Found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, as well as grand theft of a motor vehicle, battery, burglary of a dwelling, and first-degree petty theft. So he was found guilty by that in June, it says. Well, that's what the charges and whatever. It says it claimed a doctor found possible traumatic brain injury indications with his client. This is what his lawyer was saying. And he wants to know for certain before he's sentenced on August 27th. So in order to find it or not find it, the doctor recommended a radiological workup for traumatic brain injury. The testing would include an MRI, diffusion tensor imaging, and neuroquadrant. And the prosecution didn't object to it. So the motion was granted.
I think it's because they're trying to do the football player excuse. I can't remember his actual name. I believe his last name was Hernandez, where he committed murder because of the traumatic brain injuries. I don't know if that's something that's going to hold up in court, though. I don't know if that's something that we can even draw conclusions to, because psychopaths and people that are predisposed to murder are typically have a different bill that they fit. So that's where I'm kind of I don't know.
Yeah, see, but I think it's gonna depend. I think because he's already been found guilty. Irregardless, it doesn't matter. This is just gonna let us know if he's going to spend life in prison, or if he's going to be sentenced to death.
Yeah, and I think that knowing whether or not he's going to be likely to reoffend is something we can find out from that brain scan, I'm betting.
Oh, he would likely reoffend.
100%. But, the brain scan is that evidence. You need evidence, and I think that's why nobody...
Oh, and that was the thing, too, that they mentioned. Because there is something wrong with this dude, because when they arrested him for all this, he tried to break out of jail.
Yep.
And even if he did break the window, got the window out, he wasn't big enough, small enough to fit through it, No. So now you have added charges, So, it's going to be interesting to look up next week to see, because it's literally next Monday or Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm excited to find out, because it will be interesting to see what they do with the brain scan. That's why I say that. It's not necessarily I'm excited because human life will always, I'll keep reverence for that. But nonetheless, what is this brain scan going to prove for or against, especially in the sentencing phase? Um,
But then, do you think it's going to set a precedence for others who commit murder?
I
That,
think maybe
before
it
you touch
should.
me or whatever, I need a brain scan because
Well,
something's
and
not right in my head that caused me to do
well,
this.
so that's a double-edged sword, because it could be an absolutely just thorn in the side of the justice system, but it will be a godsend for those who are doing research on the human brain, because we don't have as much information on brain scans and the human brain as we kind of act
Now,
like we do as a culture.
I know there was a couple of serials that they had done, studies and everything. But yeah, I don't know how much information they actually really still need, because you would think that by now that they would have enough information and signs to show, yes, if they have this going on in their brain, then yes, they're probably more prone to commit these type of
they
acts.
do have honestly, I was talking to my sister, and I'm looking into as well for psychology programs and stuff, that they have a profile of exactly what psychopaths look like and exactly what people who are likely to commit these crimes are going to look like in terms of their criminal history and their behaviors and their interactions with their families and animals and communities. But where the brain scan comes in handy is we find out if it's a nurture versus nature thing. We find out if there's scarring or there's new neural pathways or things like that. So that is really more, I think, the brain scan is more of an indicator of whether or not he should be allowed to have parole, because the brain scan is really going to show us whether or not should be eligible for parole, because it's going to show us if his brain has damage and if it can be rehabilitated, which I think is going to do wonders for the community in terms of what are we looking at? Are we looking at something that can be cured, or are we looking at something that is permanently damaged and irreparable?
But really like to know what came of his psychological hold that he was on, considering that he has mental illness in his family and with the brain injuries. I think that he would be a repeat offender.
100%. I'm in the same boat with you. And when your own birth parent says something like that, then it's bad. And the fact that he had gone on a spree, that tells me he would repeat. And because he did have some sort of a cooling off. It wasn't a significant amount of time, but he did have time in between that he could have gotten some clarity.
I just like to put faces. Aww, she was a pretty girl. Wow, unbelievable. Oh my God, and she was engaged. It's sad.
He absolutely had a lot of chaos there. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's not a Deadpool, No. I really wonder if that brain scan doesn't do a lot of clarification on why he is the way that he is, or what's going on, at least, so that we can kind of see what's happening in there and get him the appropriate care while he's alive in the system. Because that's ultimately what the jail reform system is supposed to be doing, is reforming inmates, whether or not they're life condemned or not.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, we'll be on the lookout for
his results, his sentencing, and his brain scan.
Yep. And then maybe if we could find something on it, maybe you and I could do a live one day just to recap what
Yeah.
happened,
I'm in.
to let the group know how the outcome actually came of this story. Yeah, so this was an interesting story, and I think this is probably one of the most recent ones Bailey has ever done. I mean, she's done recent, but not this recent.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, this
it'll
one is
be
only just.
interesting to follow up on it.
Yeah, it's going to be great to follow up on, honestly. I was going to say, do we want to do this story since it's still pretty fresh? But Bailey did it, so let's do it.
Right, and we're just continuing
The discussion.
to update what her story was.
Yep. And I think that'll be a great thing to keep our eyes on and really interesting in the end.
Yeah. Thanks so much, honey, for coming on and doing this with me again.
It was fun. We always have fun.
Yes, we do. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that will do it for episode 78. We will see you all later.
Bye.
Bye.